welcome to my kitchen. My name is Sherry and today is Tuesday, so I've got another little tip for you. And today's tip is all about cast iron. So before I ever started selling Pampered Chef, the only thing I ever really used when it came to a skillet or a pan was cast iron because I absolutely love them. They are one of the very few things in life that gets better with age. So with a little bit of luck and a little bit of TLC, you can actually make these last longer than a lifetime, pass them down to the generations, and they can become family heirlooms. So maybe you even have a pan that was passed down to you, or maybe you have one in the basement that's been stored away forever. Maybe you got one for Christmas. Whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that you season your pan first before you cook in it. Now, if it has been sitting around for a while, or maybe it has a little bit of rust in there, you're going to want to make sure that you clean it before you season it. And to do that, you're just going to grab a little Brillo pad and a little bit of dishwashing liquid, and you're going to give this a really nice scrub. So because the whole thing is cast iron, you're going to want to make sure that you scrub the inside, the outside, the handle, and everything. So once you've scrubbed it really good and you've got it down to basically its base layer, then you can take it over to the sink and get some hot water. You can either use like a scrub brush, or you can use the scrubby side of a sponge, and you're just going to give it a once over again, and you're going to try to get rid of all the soap that you have, and just make sure you rinse it really well. So once you've done that, then you want to make sure you dry it. So you're going to get a dish towel, dry it off really well. And then because it is a porous surface, there's still going to be a little bit of water left in there. So what you want to do is turn on the stove for a few minutes and put your pan on there and let that fully dry. And then once we've got that dried, the next thing you can do is start seasoning it. Just a little bit of oil in the pan. Now mine's already seasoned, but I'm just going to show you how to do it. And so a little bit of oil in the pan, and we're just going to rub it all over the pan. So this same principle applies. We want to make sure that we get the whole pan. So we're going to do inside, outside, and you can use just a regular canola oil for this. All right, handle and everything. Now what you don't want is too much oil. You don't want any extra oil on here, because what can happen is when you go to put it in the oven and get it seasoned, it can become sticky. And the other thing that will make it sticky is if your oven is at too low of a temperature. So once you take another set of paper towels, and you want to use paper towels to do this so you can just throw it away, but go over it again, make sure you get all the oil, and then turn your oven on just about as high as it will go. So 450 and above should be good. But if it's not high enough, that's another thing that's going to cause it to be sticky. So you're going to put it in the oven, again, 450 and above for an hour and a half. And then once it's done, it's seasoned and it's ready to go. And then you're ready to cook in it. So there are many reasons to use this to cook. One that I really like is you can start this on the stovetop and you can finish it off in the oven. Another good reason is it just is great for searing things. But one thing you don't want to do is put cold food into a cold skillet. So these things don't really heat up evenly, but they do hold the heat really, really well. So you want to make sure you get your pan nice and hot. You can even like preheat it in the oven and then put it on the stovetop if you want to do that. But once you've got it nice and hot, then you can put your food in there. And the other thing you don't want to do is move it around too much. You want to wait till it gets like a nice sear on it, and then it should kind of self-release and you should be able to flip your food or whatever, but you don't want to move it around a lot, especially if you're doing something like fried potatoes. You really want to get that crust on there. So after you have used it to cook, you're going to want to clean it again, but this time you don't want to use any dishwashing liquid. You just want to use some very hot water and some salt. Give it a good scrub, and then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to dry it again, put it on the stovetop, make sure there's not any extra water in there at all. And then you're going to give it another oil. So once you oil it down, we want to make sure there's not too much oil again. So you want to dry it with your paper towels, put it back on the stove, and let the stove finish drying with the oil on there. And that's going to help it, become part of the pan. And what it really does is help it to keep the oil from going rancid. You don't want too much oil sitting in here. So if you've never used a cast iron skillet before, I encourage you to go and get one, because there is nothing better to get like crispy hash browns or get a nice sear on a steak. And that reminds me, I'm going to be doing a video on how to cook the perfect steak in a cast iron skillet. So anyway, be sure and subscribe and check the notifications if you want to get more tips like this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.